Now here's an exercise that asks us to graph this line using the X and Y-intercept. And the last couple days we've talked a lot about putting things or putting equations in the form y equals mx plus b. All right? And it would be real easy to take this equation and put it in the form y equals mx plus b. So let's do that. If I take away x from both sides, then these x's are going to cancel, and I'm going to get 2y equals 6 minus x. And then if I continue to solve for y, I divide by 2, and I get y equals, let's see, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And there's a little negative 1 here, so negative 1 divided by 2 is negative 1/2 x. Now, if I want to switch these two terms around, it will really look like y equals mx plus b. Okay, so one of the things they wanted me to use to graph this was the y-intercept. And from our discussions before, we've said when you have an equation in the form y equals mx plus b, well, this 3 that takes the place of the b, that is your y-intercept. So my y-intercept, I'm going to put that over here, my y-intercept is equal to 0, comma 3. So there's one point that I'm after. I go over here and I graph 0, comma 3, and that would be right there. So I'm going to put a nice big dot right there. All right. Now, they want me to also use my x-intercept. Now, we haven't really talked about that too much. I mentioned it in the video before. But at the y-intercept, your x-coordinate is 0. Okay, as you can see down here, x is 0. Well, at the x-intercept, the y-coordinate is 0. All right. Well, now how am I going to figure out what the x-intercept is? Well, if the y-coordinate is 0, that means I can come over here to this equation and plug in a 0 for the y. So that's what I'm going to do. And we've done this before. We've plugged in numbers for the variables before. So I plug in a 0, and now I start doing the math. Well, 2 times 0 is 0, so I can drop that right out. That means x equals 6. So that means my x-intercept is at the point 6, comma 0. All right, so I'm going to go over to 6, comma 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to graph that point. All right, now really, all you need are those 2 points. If you have those 2 points correct, then you should be able to take your ruler and connect those points, and it should be the correct line. All right. Now I don't always trust, that I do the things right the first time. So I'm going to use my slope to make sure that I'm right. And if you go back over to here to this equation, y equals mx plus b, there is my slope, right? So that means this negative, I'm going to attach it up to this 1 up here in the numerator. That means I go down 1 and to the right 2. So I'm going to start at this point over here, and I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2. I'm going to put a little dot. And I'm going to go down 1 and to the right 2 again. I'll put a little dot. Okay, and I'm going to go down 2 or down 1 to the right 2 again, and look, I landed right on top of my x-intercept. So that tells me that I did the right thing. You can get your 2 intercepts here, and you can go with it. You can connect the 2 dots, and bam, you got it. But if you make a mistake in one, you'll never know. All right, so I always like to go to my slope and check myself. And being that I can't put a ruler onto my screen here and draw myself a line, I'm going to use my slope, and I'm going to put a bunch of other dots on here. So when I go to draw this line, all right, when I go to draw this line, I'm going to be right on, I hope, where I need to be. So I'm going to draw that line right along there. Okay, and I wish I could straighten that one out to look even better. Okay, so there's the graph of my line. All right. So what I did is I used the X-intercept and I used the Y-intercept to get me 2 points. And then I highly recommend, I want you to use the slope just to check yourself. Start at one and use the slope and make sure you end up right on top of the other. Okay? All right, so let's try the other part here. Let's turn on, then it says, identify one other point on the line with integer coordinates. Okay, so what do they mean by integer coordinates? They mean we don't want things like 4.5, comma 7 3/4, that kind of thing. All right, we want just threes and fours and negative fives and integers. All right, integer coordinates. Verify that it is a solution to the equation. All right, so I'm going to turn my brush up a little bit so it's a little thicker. Okay, so all I want to do is pick another point that's on my graph, and this is a good reason to use your slope. So when I drew that line, I know that point right there, that is right on the line. So I'm going to use that point. That is the point 2, comma 2. All right, and I'm going to take that point and I'm going to plug it into this equation. I'm going to see if it works. So the x is going to be a 2, and I got to be able to draw on this, so I got to be up here. Let me switch over here. There we go. The x is going to be a 2, and the y is going to be a 2. And I'm going to do all the math. All my variables are gone. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and 2 plus 4 is 6. And I guess 6 equals 6. So yes, that's verifying that that is definitely a solution to the equation. And if I would have tried this one, guess what? It would have worked. All right, if I would have tried this point right here, it would have worked. And if I would have tried that point right there, it would have worked. All these points that I used my slope to move over and put actual dots on my coordinate plane, actual coordinates, they would work. All right, so it really doesn't matter which one you choose as long as you choose one that is directly on that line. All right, so let me turn off that. We got one more part that goes along with this equation or this exercise. It says when x is equal to 1, what is the value of y? Well, again, you go back to the equation and you just plug in what they give you. They're telling you x is equal to 1. So everywhere you see an x, we're going to plug in a 1. Simple as that. All right, and then they want to know what the value of y is. So we're going to solve it for y. We're going to take away 1 on both sides. All right, and I get 2y equal to 5. I'm running out of room, so we'll go up here. So that's 2y equal to 5. And then I'm going to divide by 2. So I get y equals 2.5, 2.5. All right, and they say, well, is this a point on the line? Well, sure is, because if I want to check it, if I go over 1 and I go up 2.5, boy, that looks pretty darn close. That's pretty good freehand draw of that line right there. And plus, you've actually plugged the numbers in and you've worked the problem out. So yes, yes, that is a point on those lines or on that line. All right. So there's exercise 1. We did a bunch of different things here. We used the X-intercept, we used the Y-intercept, we graphed the line, we used our slope, right? We used our slope to find other points. We picked one of those points and plugged it in. We also took a value for x and plugged that in to see if it's on the line. So we did a lot with that one exercise there. All right. So if we went too fast, definitely go back and check it out again. All right. So let's get exercise 2 up here, and we'll go on to that one in a minute. All right, here is exercise 2, and they're asking us to do the same thing, but we have a different equation here. We have an equation that is not in the form of y equals mx plus b, so let's go ahead and put it in the form y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to take away 3x on both sides. And this is where a lot of people got caught, is they dropped out this negative. So don't drop out that negative right there. So I'm going to get that. And this little negative is like a little -1. So I'm going to divide by -1 on both sides. So y equals, let's see, 9 divided by -1 is -9. Negative divided by negative is positive 3x. There's those integers at work there. All right, so now I've got it in the form of y equals mx plus b, and I should know my y-intercept right from looking at the equation. Oh, I do have to switch this around though. I want it in the form, I want that 3x first, right, and that -9 second. All right, so this tells me that my y-intercept is 9. All right, and in coordinate form, it's 0, -9. So that gives me 1 point that I can graph. So 0, -9 will be right there. Okay, so I've got my y-intercept. I'm going to check that off right there. And I want to find my x-intercept. Now, if you remember from the exercise number 1, whenever you are looking for the x-intercept, well, you want your y value to be equal to 0. All right, so I'm going to take this original equation over here, and I'm just going to plug in, oops, I don't need a minus sign there. I'm just going to plug in a 0 for the y. All right, well, -0, that's just 3x equals 9. And I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides, and I get x equals 3. So my x-intercept is going to be the point 3, 0. Okay, so I've got another point. I'm going to switch back over to red so it's consistent here. So that is 3, 0. And again, that's kind of a long distance for me to draw that straight line there. I'm going to need some help along the way. So I'm going to look at my slope. Right over here to this one. This is the form y equals mx plus b, right? So that 3 is my slope. So that's 3 over 1. So I'm going to start down at this point, and I'm going to go, remember it's change in y over change in x. So that's going to be up 3 to the right 1. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to the right, and I'm going to put a dot. 1, 2, 3 to the right 1, put a dot. 1, 2, 3 to the right 1, and look, it come right on top of that other point, that x-intercept that I found. So that's good. I did that right. All right, so I'm just giving myself some guide points here. If you have a ruler, you don't have to do this, but again, if you only do those 2 points, then you're taking the chance that one of those 2 points was not correct. All right, you really would never know. All right, so there's my line. There's my y-intercept down here and my x-intercept there. I've used my slope to get myself a bunch of other points there, and there it is. All right, so now the other part of this is when x equals 4.5, what is the value of y? Okay, well, they've given me a value for x, so why don't I just go ahead and plug it in to, oops, I got to turn this on, plug it into the equation here. So I'm going to take the original equation way up top, and I'm going to plug in a 4.5 right where I see the x. All right, and now I'm just going to solve for y. So 3 times 4.5, that gives me 13.5. All right, and I'm going to take away 13.5 on both sides. Running out of little room here, so I'm going to continue it up here. So these 13.5s, those would go away. And again, be careful, you don't drop off this negative right here, right? You don't drop that off. That is still there. So 9 minus a 13.5. Now that's going to give me a negative number. Okay, that's definitely going to give me a negative number. That is going to be, what's 9 minus 13.5? All right, if you have to, you get your calculator out. No big deal. All right, we'll get the calculator out. Okay, there it is. Let me smudge it over here. And we go 9 minus 13.5, and we should get negative 4.5. Okay, so negative 4.5 goes right there. All right, and then remember, you got to divide by -1. You don't want to stop at that negative y, so y equals 4.5. Okay, so that coordinate would be an x value of 4.5 and a y value of 4.5. So let's see if that's on the line. If I go up here, 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and up 1, 2, 3, 4.5. But if that was a straight line, I think that'd be spot on right there. All right, that would be spot on that line. Okay, so yeah, it looks like that is on the line. All right, so the last part, they asked me when x equals 1/2, When x equals 1/2, I can't get rid of that. We'll just cross it out there, okay? When x equals 1/2, what is the value of y? Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the equation, and we're just going to plug in a half right into the equation, right? And so 3 times a half is 3 over 2, right? And we're going to subtract 3 halves from both sides. I'm going to squeeze that in right here. I'm just going to subtract 3 halves from both sides. All right, and don't forget you have that 9 or that negative right here. So negative y equals, now what's 9 minus 3 halves? Well, again, if we need to, we get our calculator out. All right, and we go 9 minus 3 halves is really 1.5, so I can do that. And I get 7.5. Okay, so that's going to be 7.5. And remember, you have that negative here, so you got to divide by that negative. All right, so that's negative 7.5. All right, and let's check it out. That point, that would be the point. 1/2 is really 0.5, and the y value is negative 7.5. Would that be on the line? Let's go over here. We go over a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. And again, you're drawn with a ruler, it would be spot on. It would be right around there. Okay? So that would definitely be on the line as well. Okay? And I believe I'm going to turn that part off and turn that right on. And, there's one more part to this equation here, or this exercise, is 2 comma 4 on the line. And boy, that doesn't look like 2 4 is on the line. If I go over 2 and I go up 4, no, that is not on the line. Okay, no siree, Bob. And that means that is not a solution to this equation. Okay, so if I plug 2 in for x and 4 in for y, we're not going to get that equal to 9. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. All right, so there's exercise 2. Hold on a minute. Let me clear this off, and we'll do the next one here. All right, guys, here's exercise 3, and they want us to do the same thing. Now, this one's a little more complicated because this has coefficients. It has numbers in front of both of the variables here, but we're still going to start the same way. We're still going to put this into the form y equals mx plus b, okay? I really think that's the best way to go here. So let's give it a shot. If I want to solve for y, I need to take this 2x and move it to the other side of the equation. All right, so this is going to go away. I have 3y equals 12 minus 2x. And then I'm going to divide by 3. All right, really nothing different than what we did before. So y equals 12 divided by 3 is 4. And negative 2 over 3, well, that's going to be a fraction. I'm just going to leave it as a fraction because that's not going to come out as a very nice number here. And I'm going to switch these two around just like we did in the previous two examples. I'm going to switch these two around. So I definitely am in the form negative 2/3 x plus 4. I'm definitely in the form y equals mx plus b. So right away, as soon as I get that done, I know that this negative 2/3, that is my slope. Okay, and that 4, that is my y-intercept here. Okay, so my y-intercept has coordinates, just like in the previous two examples, that's going to be 0, 4. All right, so I'm going to go ahead over here, and I'm going to graph this 0, 4. That is the point right there. Okay, now they also want me to use the x-intercept, so I'm going to do that the same way as I did before. I've got a little more space down here, so I'm going to jump down here, and I'm going to take the original equation. All right, I could use my y equals mx plus b form because it's the same equation, but I'm just going to use the original equation here. And I want to find the x-intercept, and where we're looking for the x-intercept, the y value is always 0. Okay, so I'm going to plug in a 0 for y, and I'm going to start doing my math. Well, 0 times 3, that's just 0, so I can drop that right out. And I end up with 2x equals 12, and then I can just divide by 2, and x equals 6. All right, so that means my x-intercept is 6, 0. All right, so I can go over to my coordinate plane, and I can graph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0. Okay, and again, if you have a ruler and you're confident in your math and you've done everything right, you can just connect those 2 points, and you've got a beautiful graph. Now I'm going to take just a minute here, and I'm going to use the slope again. I really highly suggest that you do this. I'm going to use my slope, and I'm going to put a bunch of other points here. I'm going to start with this point, my y-intercept, and I'm going to go, I'm going to use a slope of -2 over 3. Okay, that means change in y over change in x. That means I'm going to go down 2 because it's a negative here, and I'm going to go to the right 3. So I'm going to start over here at my y-intercept. I'm going to go down 2, and I'm going to go to the right 3. I'm going to put a little dot. I'm going to go down 2. I'm going to go to the right 3. I'm going to put another little dot. Oh, look, it's already there. Beautiful. That's what I wanted to happen. But I'm going to put a couple more in here just to make sure I can draw this line relatively nicely. Now I'm working off of this point here. I'm going the other way, so I'm going to switch it. I'm going to go to the left 3 and up 2. Okay, that would be the same thing as doing a -2 over 3. Okay, so let me turn this back up a little bit. And let me see what I can do. Actually, I can put one more in here. Let me see if I can connect these dots with a straight line, just like that. That's pretty good. All right. Okay, so I used my X-intercept and my Y-intercept to graph the points. I used my slope to graph more points, and then I was able to graph the line by just connecting the dots here. And the second part of this, they say when x equals -3, what is the value of y? So very easy, guys, very easy. They give you a value for -3. Just simply plug that in to the original equation, just like we've done before, and then just do your algebra, do your math, okay? 2 times -3, that's going to give me a -6. And let's see, I'm going to add 6 to both sides here. So these 6's go away. That's 3y equals 18. And I'm going to divide by 3. And I get y equals 6. All right, so when x equals -3, then y equals 6. And they do ask me, does this appear to be a solution on the line? So I want to go to the point -3, 6, and I want to see if that's on the line. So if I go over here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, it is. It's right there. It's right on the line. So that's a big affirmative. Yes, that is on the line. Okay, so those 3 exercises, they're asking you to do the same thing in each. Remember, it's all about y equals mx plus b, guys. I can't emphasize that enough. That is what it's all about, because as soon as you get it in that form, then you know your slope, you know your y-intercept, and you're really off and running, all right? So have a good night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.